CBS News coverage of the Republican National Convention continues. Here again is Katie Couric.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the CBS News webcast. Sorry to keep you waiting, but we were waiting for the prayer to be completed on the floor of this convention. Didn't want to interrupt that. Who knows what would happen if we did. Meanwhile, it's been a very exciting night, the first official night of this Republican National Convention. We hope you missed us a little last night, but we were all busy covering Hurricane Gustav in addition to the change in schedule up here in St. Paul. And it's been a busy night. Laura Bush introduced her husband. She praised President Bush. President Bush praised John McCain. Earlier, after that, Senator Fred Thompson praised Sarah Palin, saying that she could, what was the expression, you guys? I keep forgetting. Field dress a moose. And she was one tough customer. And then, of course, we heard from Senator Joe Lieberman. Actually, we have a lot to talk about, but first we want to go out to Byron Pitts, who's with some delegates, to get their reaction to what happened here tonight. Hi, Byron. Actually, are we having audio problems? Okay. You know what? Hopefully Byron is enjoying his conversation with that gentleman, because we're going to have to get back to him. He probably doesn't realize we don't have audio, but we'll go back to Byron in a moment. First, I know you guys are chomping at the bit to talk. Bob Schieffer and Jeff Greenfield are sitting here next to me, but I want to ask Joe Trippi about Joe Lieberman, the two Joes. Okay, Trippi, what do you think the Democrats are thinking as they watch Joe Lieberman, the former Democratic vice presidential nominee turned independent, as I mentioned, now supporting John McCain, basically calling Barack Obama a fine, eloquent young man or something along those lines, kind of diminishing him? What are the Democrats thinking about a guy who's still a member of the Democratic caucus?
Well, you've got to sort of follow the circuitous route. Joe Lieberman didn't leave the Democratic Party. He was defeated in a Democratic primary in Connecticut and then had to run as an independent to hold office with Republican votes, I might add. So when he came back to Washington as an independent, he wanted to caucus as a Democrat. They let him do that for a lot of different reasons. But in the end, for him to come here tonight and say he was doing it because it was time to move on and not put his party first, was just not, it's just not going to ring true to a lot of Democrats in Washington who are already, their nerves were already frayed by a lot of statements he's made. I think this is going to put him over the top, really anger them.
Yeah, what do you think, Bob and Jeff? Do you think that the Democrats are going to be like, enough already?
If they have only a one-vote majority, and it takes Joe Lieberman to make them a majority in the Senate,
so they need him.
They'll keep him. If they get a 2 or 3 vote majority, he may have to look elsewhere for a chairmanship.
Yeah, but I think the most remarkable thing about tonight is if you want to know how depressed the Republican brand is and how much they need to go beyond that and to redefine the party, they not only invite Joe Lieberman, which makes sense. He and McCain are close. McCain told me 4 years ago if Lieberman had been the presidential nominee of the Democrats, McCain, would have had a real problem. But the idea that you come to the Republican convention, you praise Bill Clinton, who is the symbol of all things evil to the Republicans for the last 15 years, and they don't drive Joe Lieberman out of the hall.
He got a nice hand.
He did. He got a nice, respectful hand. It tells you something very important. I mean, there were just a couple of lines. He attacks corrupt Republican lobbyists, which McCain went after. He attacks corporations which cheat the taxpayer. I will tell you, it's been a long time, maybe since Teddy Roosevelt, 100 years ago or 104 years ago, that a Republican convention has heard that kind of language, and it just shows you they've got to go beyond their base.
Well, it plays into the whole mantra of John McCain being country first. Absolutely. He is bipartisan. It doesn't matter what affiliation he is. He's crossed over, so to speak, and has made things happen with the opposition.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea that you go to a political party convention and attack the whole nature of parties. That quote from 200 years ago from Washington says we shouldn't have any political parties.
I think if John McCain is going to win, it's going to have to be on some sort of a unity government kind of platform.
And if you do that, you can't trash the other party that much, right?
But I tell you what I find is interesting is Bill Clinton getting applause at a Republican convention is how little credit we're giving members of the United States Senate. I mean, here we've got a United States senator heading up the ticket, but every speaker now is getting up here and talking about, but you really got to have that experience as a governor.
Which probably goes back to Sarah Palin, who we will discuss in a moment. But guess what? Byron is ready. He changed his battery. batteries. Now he should be the ever-ready bunny for the rest of the night. Byron?
Hey, Katie, we're with Bill Beddoes. He's from Allen Park, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit, a lifelong Republican. First question, Bill, how did it hit you to hear Bill Clinton, of all people, praised at your convention?
A little surprised.
He says with a smile.
Yep.
What did you think of Joe Lieberman's speech?
Excellent speech.
Now, you were saying before that you thought that Governor Palin was key to carry Michigan, which is now considered a swing state. Why so?
Because Governor Palin is a real person with real situations. They're normal people, and they're not Washington insiders. And I think that's what Michiganders are looking for.
Your party proudly presents itself as the family values party. The issues in her family right now, are they consistent with that position that your party has tried to take for so many years?
Well, obviously she has some problems and some issues in her family, but she's a very strong woman, and she's going to do an excellent job as vice president.
Okay, was that answering my question, or was that...
I think it was.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Katie, now we have Kendall Unruh, who we spoke with earlier. Right. We'll talk to you more about Governor Palin. You were saying how for you that was key. You were sort of lukewarm on John McCain, but when he selected her, that energized you for his ticket. Why so?
It did because of her life story, the fact that she chose to carry a son with disabilities to full term. I'm the mother of a child with disabilities, and I understand the character that breeds, and I understand that the heroic effort that takes in order to make that decision. And she modeled that for her daughter, and now her daughter is following in her footsteps in a pro-family way to carry to term her own grandbaby. And so she is the face of our party. She is the people that pro-life people can look to and say, not only does she talk it, but she actually walks it and models it in her own personal life. She's a heroine for us.
Did that situation with her daughter, with her pregnancy, give you pause at all?
No. In fact, it endeared me even more, because it's one thing to try and infuse values into a child, and we hope and we pray that those kids are going to grow up in the way that we train them. But you know what? We all have free will. We all have free choice. And the fact that she supported her daughter with the consequences of an ill choice and supported her in the face of embarrassment. I mean, let's face it, this is an embarrassing situation for her in the executive position that she now carries. So she has truly endeared herself even more to those of us in the pro-life arena.
Prior to Palin, how would McCain have figured in Colorado, you think, and what are his chances now?
McCain's going to take Colorado now because he's energized the values voters, which he needed to turn out as a base in Colorado to do the work. As you know, we're the ones who go out and we walk the precincts, we man the phone banks, we lick the envelopes, and we fundraise. And turning out that vote was critical to a swing vote state like Colorado. So he was struggling before. He's got a slam dunk trump card. We won in Colorado. And it's going to help all the down ticket races also. We have a great Senate race there with Bob Schaefer. It's going to actually help him.
Okay, use basketball card playing as another sports analogy you want to use?
I'm sorry?
You use playing cards and you use basketball analogies anymore?
You know what? Stay tuned for Palin Pandemonium tomorrow night, okay?
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Katie, you heard it here. Back to you.
All right, Byron. Thanks very much.
Thank
We're going to
you.
go to Dan
Thank you,
Bartlett
ma'am.
now. Palin Pandemonium, and they really set her up tonight quite well. I thought Fred Thompson really emphasizing her story, her values, her tough-mindedness, Dan. But who are they trying to attract with Sarah Palin? Bob and I were talking earlier. A lot of Hillary Clinton supporters are pro-abortion rights. She is very extreme on her position on abortion, doesn't believe in it, even in cases of rape and incest. So they are out. But I think they really are going to try to get the female vote. What kind of women are they targeting, Dan?
Well, I think it's millions of American women who are at home, struggling with the daily chores of not only taking care of kids, but many of those millions of American women also work. The constant struggle between profession at the workplace and profession at home and taking care of children. And, quite frankly, my brief travels between the two conventions, I did hear what you would consider normal people in airports and things like that really talking about it. And I don't think we can lose the fact of another strategic interest here by the McCain campaign, and that was to shake up the race, which speaks to a lot of their strategic thinking right now internally, that while they like the fact that the polls have closed, they also recognize that they can't run a conventional Republican campaign. And what you saw here is the full playbook on display. That is John McCain's biography up against Barack Obama's biography. They think if they can boil this race down to those two, that battle, so to speak, they will win. And that's why you heard Fred Thompson. That's why you heard from a very rare voice on the floor of a Republican convention, as people have pointed out, and Joe Lieberman making that case. So I think they got off to a pretty good start tonight in that regard. And but the Palin book will be, the final chapters of the Palin book will be written by her herself.
Yeah,
because
a lot of pressure, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, for her to step up onto the national stage like this and have to give a big speech that she hasn't done before, and then subsequently face the national press corps, and then ultimately Joe Biden, a seasoned debater, she really holds her own fate. And I think if she's a successful vice presidential candidate or not, it will be up to her performance.
All right, Dan Bartlett, thanks. Well, looky here. I've been joined by another white male here on the platform, but you're always welcome. Chris Salissa has a blog at WashingtonPost.com called The Fix. I'll get to you, Greenfield, in a moment. So,
I'm
Chris,
sorry.
So
Starts off righteous attack.
What do you think? What do you think of this portrayal of Sarah Palin tonight, particularly by Fred Thompson, that really did start telling and delivering her life story to these delegates and to a national audience?
Well, Katie, a surefire way to unite Republicans behind a candidate is to attack the media. It's tried and true. It works almost every time. You heard Fred Thompson repeatedly say, these Washington cocktail party set, this liberal media, they don't like a woman who has 5 kids and works and is the governor of the state.
They mocked people who criticized her for never being on Meet the Press. They
That's
said
right.
She should wear that as a badge of honor and face the nation, by the way.
And, I think that's the way that they are going to try to introduce her. Use her, what could be perceived as a weakness, the fact that she isn't a totally unknown commodity on the national scene, as a strength. She's not a known commodity on the national scene because she's been busy reforming Alaska. They're going, that's, I think, a fundamental lesson of politics. You try and use weaknesses and turn them to strengths and turn them to weaknesses.
Political judo.
I think we're talking about all the pressure she's going to be under tomorrow night when she speaks.
And they've lowered expectations considerably.
But she's going to have a lot of help with the speech. I'm not saying she needs a lot of help, but I mean, this is the speech. It'll be vetted. They'll go over it. The problem for her and the real challenge for her is when she goes out to campaign by herself as the vice presidential candidate and gets this relentless scrutiny. I mean, everybody says something they don't mean to say. I mean, including John McCain.
Well, what about in interview situations as well,
Exactly.
Bob? At some point, they're going to have to make her available to be interviewed.
And they
hopefully.
They
Not
are
so
training.
far.
And they are training her very well. I should announce that on Sunday, Bob Schieffer and I are going to field dress a moose just to undercut this media elite, right?
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't even know what that meant, but I guess it means to gut the moose and prepare it for...
to be.
Yeah.
I only know because of my Texas in-laws. I would not have known. My Connecticut roots would not have had me know that.
Wait,
By the way, the Friends of Bullwinkle are extremely angry with this.
The
solicitation.
FOBs.
Absolutely.
There are no moose in Texas. Let me
ask Chris, since this is a webcast, and obviously he's got a blog, and I want to talk to you about the role of, and then we're going to take some web questions. So you guys hold on if you're waiting for your web questions. What's the role of the internet in pushing this Sarah Palin and her daughter's pregnancy story out to the forefront?
Well, it was the origin of getting this story, I think, out. I'm not sure when the McCain campaign or Sarah Palin would have liked to get it out. The McCain campaign insists that they knew about this when she was vetted, that this was not a disqualifier for John McCain. But it did come in response to some blogs, liberal blogs primarily, that were forwarding much more nefarious rumors than they felt they
Pretty
needed.
nasty, scurrilous stuff.
Absolutely. And the issue now, though, Katie, is that it doesn't get ignored anymore. It was linked on the Drudge Report. Then it became something that organizations like my own, the Washington Post, you have to consider, okay, how do we now pursue this? It has reached a level where ignoring it is no longer acceptable. And so I really think that you saw that sort of bottom-up way that this story came about.
Okay, let me get to some web questions because we don't have a lot of time. I wish the show were 2 hours, and I'm sure you watching at home, I'm sure you wish it too. All right, so let's go to Joe Trippi because this is a question from Yvonne from Minnesota. Joe, you there?
I sure am.
Okay, hi Joe. The question is, regarding Sarah Palin's daughter pregnancy, would this be an issue if the vice presidential choice was male?
Can you repeat it?
Okay.
Real
Are you
quick?
stalling? Okay. That's like Johnny Cochran. He used to always
I
say
am.
to me, Katie, that's a very good question, and I would see his wheels turning.
Right.
Joe,
Yes.
okay, the question is, regarding Sarah Palin's daughter's pregnancy, would this be an issue if the vice presidential choice was male?
That's a really good question, and it's obviously it's never come up, but I think it would be. If a vice presidential candidate had a daughter who was 17 years old and had a pregnancy out of wedlock, I think it would break right now the same way it has with her. Again, particularly in today's age with web and blogs moving things along, it certainly would have come up. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue though in this as it moves forward. I think one of the things I think is going on is all this controversy has just brought so much attention to her that if she does deliver tomorrow night, as Dan Bartlett pointed out, it's a huge opportunity for her to hit a home run.
Okay. Sorry, Joe. I just want to get real quickly. What do you think? Do you think a male would get this much controversy?
I do. I think this is more about the fact she's totally unknown on the national scene, and any information is therefore consumed ravenously more than her gender.
Jeff?
I do.
That's what it's about. It's about unexpected things coming to light here, but someone that has no national reputation. I think that's the danger. It's not the fact that this child is pregnant. It's the fact that we don't know very much about this woman, and we keep finding out these little things, just drip.
Lindsey Graham earlier said it was sexist to question whether she could handle the job of vice president, given the fact that she has 5 children, an infant with special needs, and is going to be a grandmother with a 17-year-old daughter.
Now that's a different story.
Now, let me ask you guys, do you think that's sexist?
It's a very difficult question for a man to answer, but I know one thing. What you just outlined, this woman has many challenges ahead, and I would also say, Katie, this family also has an 18-year-old who's about to go to Iraq. They're going to have a lot of things to be worrying about and dealing with. I think it would be a challenge to anyone, man, woman, whatever.
Okay, let me go to a couple more internet questions. Is that okay, Rick? Okay. Brenda from Warwick, New York wrote, this is for Dan, but Dan's left, right? So anybody can answer this. How does the McCain campaign answer critics who will now point out Sarah Palin's stance on not teaching sex education in schools in light of her teen daughter's pregnancy?
That's come up already, and what her most ardent supporters are saying is that this is absolutely irrelevant because people make mistakes. The argument that, well, that proves that abstinence-only sex education doesn't work. What they're saying is this young woman made a mistake, and it's being handled the right way.
But might she not have made a mistake if she had been educated and maybe had comprehensive sex education?
I think the folks on the other side of the divide are going to say, and are already saying, exactly that one of the things you have to teach teenagers is if you're going to take a risk, minimize that risk. That's already been surfaced.
But Katie, just one quick thing. I do think, and you saw Barack Obama do this yesterday, he recognizes that this is potentially dangerous territory for him. What he essentially said is, this is a private matter that we respect. So I don't think you're going to see anything coming out of the Obama campaign on this sort of thing. I think they leave it up to sort of Democratic activists to make that point, but they are going to, I think, largely stay away from it.
You may remember that Nicole Wallace said to you, she kept calling the Democratic blogs that raise these issues, not liberal, not left, but the Democratic blogs. So I have a feeling that on that side they're going to point to this as a way of saying they're piling on, they're being unfair, and they're smearing this woman.
Okay, you guys stay put because I'm going to come on in, you guys. It's a webcast, so we don't have to be super polished, obviously. All right, right now I have Will. Come on, Will, you can stand here. And then it's Esther Clark. Hi, Esther. Katie Couric, nice to meet you. Hey, Will, you can stand up next to Will if you don't mind, Esther. Now, you guys are Christian conservatives. You're in your early 20s. You're here as delegates to this national convention.
Well, Esther's a delegate. I'm here just as a volunteer.
And we wanted to talk to you all because, the Obama campaign has attracted a lot of young support. And we wanted to find out more about young people supporting John McCain. Tell me why you feel strongly that he should be the next president.
Well, John McCain has pretty much spent his entire life service, or as far as being a service to this country, whether by the military or in Congress, within the Senate. And so to kind of see what he's done, the strides that he's made to not only stand for what he's believed in, but to go against his party on a lot of issues. And as far as being a conservative, I'd rather take as far as certain things that maybe he hasn't done or certainly he has gone against than to go on the other side with Barack Obama, who has been wildly liberal in his voting stance since the day he took office, whether it's back in Illinois or here. So,
did you feel that the selection of Sarah Palin, Esther, has solidified evangelical Christians behind John McCain in a way they were not before?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my parents' friends, who they like McCain, but little not gung-ho, they after that came out, they just were very, very excited. I mean, she's a very strong pro-life, a strong woman, a strong leader, puts her family first. I think it's definitely completely changed just the dynamics.
Yeah, if you could turn your face this way just a little bit. How did you feel about the revelations about her daughter? That has gotten a lot of attention. People say it's a personal issue. We got some emails from folks saying, knock it off, enough already about Bristol Palin and her pregnancy. But I'm just curious about your take on that.
I think it's sad that it's coming up. She's a 17-year-old girl in the state cabin. It's not a parent's fault. I mean, I know, like, for my parents, they do the best they can. And, when a kid messes up, all you can ask the parent to do is to be there, to love them, to support them. And I think it shows Sarah's a real person. She has, a real family. They have real issues to deal with. And she can still be governor and still be there for her daughter. And I think she's an incredible lady. And I think, her daughter is definitely going through a tough time. And I think, people are always... I think it's sad. People should stop giving her a hard time. She's 17. She's trying to do the right thing. She's keeping the baby. It's going to be tough for her for a few years. And she needs not only her parents' support, but she needs the nation to stop getting in her face.
And how do you feel about her as a selection, and what appeals to you about Sarah Palin?
Sarah Palin, I mean, her nickname being the Barracuda just says enough about her tenacity to go against a lot of odds, definitely within her state. She has been she's an independent thinker, but she was a pro-lifer all throughout her time as mayor and as governor. I mean, she was excited this party. She was excited, as far as like our base, and we're ready to go.
All right. Well, Will Crosswell and Esther Clark. Did I get everybody's name right? Thank you guys for coming by tonight. Appreciate it. Are you going to do anything fun tonight?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
Really? Tell me. Where's the party?
We don't know yet. We're gonna
Really?
find out.
Where are you going to go, Katie?
I think I'm going to go back to my room and go to sleep. I'm really fun, real party animal. You guys can walk in front of the camera. It's okay, because I don't want to keep you. All right, in closing, because we're out of time. Rick, it's the web. You don't have to stick to time cues that much. Oh, we do. The web? Who's the web? The World Wide Web wants it over? Hi, this is Mr. World Wide Web. Please wrap it up. Okay, so in closing, you guys, I wish I could do this during the real broadcast, but of course I can't. In closing, let's talk about what we're looking for, or what people are going to be looking for tomorrow night. Sarah Palin. Just a final thought, okay? Leave me alone. Bob, what do you think tomorrow will bring, and what does she need to do, I guess, is the question.
Not make a mistake, I think, would be the number one thing. And
well, it's going to be a pretty controlled environment. She's unlikely to do that, right?
But I think not make a mistake.
Okay. And also, does she need to appeal to women who may not share her conservative values in a way?
Well, I think she has to find some way. I think there's a slight misreading going on here. I think that she is going to appeal to a certain segment of American womanhood, as it were. But I think there's some other women out there who are not going to find that all that interesting, because she is so much opposed to what they believe so strongly in.
Jeff?
I'm not sure the test is tomorrow night. I realize that we're all going to be focused on her, but your point's right. It's a controlled environment. The speech is going to be on teleprompter. These people are going to cheer as she reads the phone book. I think the question is whether or not a very appealing life story, which it is. This is in effect, somebody wrote this, she's living a blue-collar life. She's hunting and fishing and living in the last frontier. And for people who do have a cultural issue with the, quote, elites, this is the living embodiment of somebody, she and her husband and family live a very different life. Balanced against that will be the question of, are there things that are going to come out that tell us that she's not who she says she is? And in the uncontrolled environment of interviews, are we going to learn that maybe she's not as ready as the McCain camp hoped she will? I've come up with a phrase to describe this, Katie.
What?
Only time will tell.
Oh, how profound, Jeff. Thank you so much. And finally, our special guest, Chris Saliza.
I will be brief. Use the biography that has essentially been used against her over the last 48 hours in a negative way. Turn it into a positive. It's echoing what Jeff said. Use that biography, which is appealing, which is interesting, which is very unique.
But is biography everything, Chris?
It's not everything, but remember, Katie, almost no one knows this woman outside of this room, and many people in this room may not. So biography is important because you have to lay that foundation down. You have to say, here's who I am, before you start talking about why you would be good for the country. It's a unique position because we haven't had in modern political history someone who's this unknown. But her biography, introducing herself, super important. And again, use it as a positive. Tell your story. Get out in front of all this news that's percolated over the last 48 hours.
All right, Chris Saliza of the WashingtonPost.com, The Fix. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
I heard you were notifying your mom to make sure she watched. You want to say hi to her?
Hi, Mom. Also, my wife, because my wife said, you will never be on with Katie Couric. So that's in my wife's face.
See? Miracles. Miracles. What's your wife's name?
Gia.
Miracles do happen. Okay, Jeff Greenfield, Bob Schieffer. It was fun. We'll do it again tomorrow night.
Yippee.
Rick Kaplan. He just told me I hate you. It's getting ugly in here. Anyway, have a good night. We'll see you guys tomorrow.